Hello and welcome to Attacking Third Quick Hit, our segment where we tackle one topic for a few minutes. Quick reactions, quick hit, quick reactions. Put it all together. What do you get? You give me Sandra Herrera with Christine Cupo. We've got some major stuff to react to too. This isn't no little bit of news. We are here to chat about Becky Sauerbrunn, who recently announced her retirement. We're going to try to do our best here. And thank you all for joining us. If you are joining us live to get our reactions to Becky Sauerbrunn's retirement, Attacking Third is where we try to cover all things women's soccer. And guess what? We're also nominated for some awards, and we would really, really appreciate your votes because we are up
Vote,
as
vote,
a
vote, vote.
finalist. That's right. Sound the alarms, baby. We're up for not just one, but two categories in the Sports Podcast Awards this year. We're up for Best Football Podcast and the Diverse Voices Award. And so, if you are familiar with this in the past, the winners are determined entirely through fan voting, and voting is now open through January 13th, 2025. So please, 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 if you like what we do, go ahead and give us a vote. Link for the vote is in the chat on YouTube, and it is also going to be in the podcast description. But let's get cooking because we've only got a certain amount of time here for the quick hit. Cupo, I'm so glad you're here because I couldn't get through this alone. So thanks for being
It's
here,
just
bud.
you, me, and all our feelings, Sandra. It's a lot.
We had to throw some bows. We were like, you know what, Lisa, Darian, you guys enjoy your off day because we need all the space possible here for all of the emotions and feelings.
Me and my box of tissues. This
Yeah.
is. I can't say it's not that it's not to be expected. I just think I wasn't anticipating it being today, or maybe anytime soon. I don't know. I get that players have lived hard on their bodies emotionally, mentally, physically. They've given everything that they could possibly give. And Becky is absolutely a legend of the game and undeniable. And I want to see the numbers, okay? Because if this
Yes.
isn't an unanimous vote going forward, future Hall of Famer. Um,
First
just
ballot, baby. Let's go.
my gosh, like one of the world's best defenders, US program especially. It just it's a lot that she's leaving. She's a player who we're seeing in this last wave of retirement announcements who built the domestic women's soccer league.
Yeah.
She is one of the last standing that played in WPS, among Marta, among Sink, Alex Morgan, and just to see this wave where, damn, we're losing recipes. It's
Yeah.
it's heartwarming to know that they've given everything that they have, and Reba is no exception. But it's still, makes your heart thump a little bit to think like, this is yet another retirement that nobody wants to see. That's definitely well deserved, and I'm sure she'll still be part of the fabric of this game going forward. But damn, I will miss her tenacity, her calmness, her consistency in that back line.
Yeah, absolutely. It's wild to think about. We were chatting a little bit, like, okay, we got to react to this. Let's nail down a time. Let's get together and gather. And I was a little bit nervous coming on to do the quick hit portion of this because it almost sort of feels like if we were to run down her many accolades, we would hit the target. We would hit the 10-minute window that we
We
like to
could do
hit.
that a cool 30 minutes,
It
honestly.
and I was just like, I mean, we're talking about all of them from, like, I guess, beginning to end because I mean, she references this even in her farewell on her social media post, how she's saying goodbye to 16 years. That's a long time, but maybe some of the majors. Let's go through some of the majors, the ones that are probably gonna resonate really deeply with, with maybe your diehards or even your casuals who just sort of come in international tournament through international tournament. I think we got to start with maybe what you referenced by losing recipes, kind of these players who really help solidify the game domestically in the United States. And Becky Sauerbrunn is 100% one of those players. Not only does she have history that stems back into WPS days, the women's professional soccer, but when it came to launching another women's domestic league in NWSL, understandably so, there were a lot of apprehensions. There were a lot of suspicions. There was a lot of maybe red flags. We're talking about saying farewell to not just one, but the second iteration of a women's pro league in the United States. And then maybe a year, 18 months out of that, there's rumblings about how there's going to be another one. Stakeholders, US soccer getting involved. How do we make sure there's a women's professional league? And the main way to do that is to make sure that you have your sort of marquee players in the mix. That's the whole point. You want to make sure you have these clubs, these leagues to go ahead and make sure there's always a place for your national teamers to continue to develop and get better. And Becky Sauerbrunn was maybe part of this era of players that surprisingly or unsurprisingly we find ourselves saying farewell to so often these days, who was part of this collection of players that were really tasked with really kind of giving trust in the process, trust in the hope and the belief of that someday we would be talking about what is now the NWSL 13, what is it, 13 years later now at this point. And so it should come to no surprise that in some of her accolades, she's got a couple trophies for NWSL. We're talking not just one, not two, but three NWSL championships. She won two of them in 2014 and 2015 with FC Kansas City, the former NWSL franchise in Kansas City. She also won with Portland Thorns. We're talking a community shield in 2020 in a year in which the pandemic affected not just NWSL, but leagues across the globe. An NWSL Challenge Cup in 2021, the ICC Cup in 2021, NWSL Shield in 2021, and a 2022 NWSL Championship. So that's three championships for Bruin, and ended up winning that with the Thorns. So this is just for club. Like, we haven't even begun to scratch the surface of her impact on the international stage. But I know you and I, we hold it down for club. So we were like, we want to absolutely show some love there. Let's maybe pivot to the international stuff, because for casuals who are maybe tuning in and they recognize Becky Sauerbrunn as this stalwart for international play, obviously she's got a ton of hardware there. I mean, she's leaving the game as a two-time World Cup champion for 2015 and 2019 for the FIFA Women's World Cups. She's leaving with an Olympic gold medal with the London Olympic Games in 2012. But there's so much stuff in between. The inaugural Gold Cup in 2024 that we got to see this year. Other CONCACAF Women's Championships, four of those that she's leaving with. A ton of She Believes Cups, right? A bronze medal for the Tokyo Games as well. It goes on and on and on and on. And within all of these team titles and in hardware, she also had the honor and responsibility, really, of being a team captain on here. And not only did she don the armband, but I think you and I can both agree that she captained this team off of the pitch in so many different types of arenas as well. It mirrors these trophies that we're talking about. And when it comes to things like equal play, or equal pay, equal women's rights, when we talk about, players who go out there and they say that they want to do the work when it comes to, anti-racism, Becky Sauerbrunn is a player that has always shown what it's like to actually do the work, show that work, and be about it. So I would argue that she's had as big an impact for this team off the pitch as well as on them.
Oh,
Do you agree or disagree?
undeniably,
That's right.
Sandra, undeniably on point. She has been a point of quiet leadership, stability, empathy for this team for so long. And I think that part of that goes back to, not only did she champion tons of rights, including their own equal pay for the US, but, going back to her club career where, those players during that period of time were women's professional soccer players in the United States when it was not easy, when it would even be ill advised because it's not particularly profitable, when
Mhm.
there's so many systems that don't exist yet for you to thrive, to succeed. And as usual, women and women soccer players asked to do the most with nothing. And they still rose above, well above the expectations to become world champions, to become repeat club champions,
Yeah.
to continue this legacy of excellence that nobody offered a shred for them to build one. They built it themselves on their own backs. And so I think that that undercurrent, I hope that that's something that's ignited something in the future and upcoming generations, because with so many of these players that have been on both sides of the coin of the uphill battle and a little bit of the downhill slide, controversies and problems and triumphs. Uh, Becky has done so much for this league and just for the sport in general. It's I always feel like it's so hard because words fail you in these instances, and this
Yeah.
is not by any means a memorial, but it deserves the gravitas that I'm unable to give her in this moment.
I love that comparison that you're making right now, because it almost sort of feels that way. It's like, no, nobody, by no means is anyone dying, but it's
Nobody
like such
died,
a,
but
it's such a
we're all
big moment.
sad.
Yes, it's like such a monumental occasion that you're just like, we want to do it justice, right? Like, 10 to 15 minutes is nearly enough, right? She's given us 16 years. It's incredible. It's almost sort of like when you're hit with the moment, like you're almost at a little bit of a loss for words at times. Shout out to people who are joining us live in our chat. We see you, Sarah. She's also saying that she's speechless, an incredible player. We'll miss seeing her out there. Yeah, I mean, I think we echo those sentiments for sure. I think something else that's really important to know is how this player, I think, impacted so many areas of the women's game. Where obviously, even in her farewell, she's thanking her coaches, she's thanking all her former teammates, former staff, right? Fans and supporters who have supported the U.S. Women's National Team for so long, or her club teams for so long. But this is a player, because of the length of her career, has been able to affect all these different areas of the pitch, and I would even argue the media side of things as well. I think something that has been so special about this particular group of players that we find ourselves saying goodbye to is that they really kind of capitalized on a moment and really said, "This is our time. What are we going to do with it?" And it's incredible to sort of see these goodbyes and be able to go down all of these list of things that they have done to change the game. And I would argue that includes in the way that the coverage is done around women's sports in general as well. It's it's not easy to have that level of success and then find yourselves maybe on the media side of things, or the coverage side of things, or the content side of things, where you have to find yourself you find yourself in the moment of covering the greats. And then there are moments where there are down moments as well, and you find yourself having to cover those things too. And it's very cool to know that there were just people like Becky Sauerbrunn who understood at the end of the day, we're all just human beings. Everyone has job to do, including the players, including media, and they embraced those opportunities as well. They understood that they had a platform in front of them, and to utilize it as best as they could. So I will also miss just integrating with Becky Sauerbrunn and in these sort of media capacities as well. An incredible leader on and off the pitch, was always well spoken, and a great representative to sort of advocate for any messaging that they were trying to give across. And the game is in a much better place than when she found it, for sure. So we salute her and thank her for her service. And of course, she's not going anywhere. We already know that she's been doing some podcasting. We love to hear it. We love to see it. Thank you,
Get on,
Becky
Becky, and second,
Sauerbrunn.
third. You're welcome anytime.
We love it. We love it. And thank you everybody for joining us and our quick reactions to Becky Sauerbrunn's retirement. We appreciate you all being here. It's easier to get through the tough moments when you have friends to get through it with. So thank you all so much for joining us. Just want to let you all know that we will be back on Thursday for what is our final scheduled show of 2024. The year is winding down. Attacking Third will air live on YouTube this coming Thursday. Be sure to join us at 11 a.m. Eastern to hear all the latest surrounding the women's game, our final thoughts on the year 2024. And of course, we'll be recapping so much more, including a look at the Utah Royals and everything they need to do in the offseason in order to better themselves in 2025. But that's it. Thanks for joining us on our quick hit. I'm Sandra Herrera, Christine Cupo, our producer, Mark Seaman. Thank you all. We'll see you soon.